What's going on, everyone? Is TheDurf, and in today's video we're going all the way back to my roots, my humble beginnings, if I could say so myself. The Arc Hunter subclass was my very first build love in all of Destiny, and every time I get a chance to revisit it, I remember why I held on to it so long. This build plays ultra fast, it plays extremely aggressive, you have different options for the weapons you can use, but one central theme remains the same: you will be a force to be reckoned with. Print your orbs of power, generate one of the best supers in the game in as little as 1 minute, and oh by the way, look insanely cool and stylish while doing it. So if you've been looking for a great Arc Hunter build for this Renegades expansion, look no further than this one. This build is extremely fun, extremely powerful, and did I mention it's cool? All right, let's get into it. To get us started with our ability spam Arc Strider Hunter subclass, our super of choice is going to be Gathering Storm. Hurl your Arc Staff forward, embedding it into surfaces or large targets and jolting nearby targets. After a short time, a devastating lightning bolt strikes the staff, overcharging it with Arc Energy. While overcharged, your staff discharges lightning at nearby foes. In my opinion, this is the best Hunter Arc super in the game. I've never really liked Storm's Edge. I know there's some people out there that swear by it. It just, the cooldown, the juice doesn't, isn't worth the squeeze. And then Arc Staff is pretty decent, but I don't really care about the roaming super. It does give me stacks of bolt charge, but we're going to have plenty of ways to get bolt charge with this build. So Gathering Storm, it's also very damaging, to bigger bosses. And this is what I grew up with. I grew up with Gathering Storm. This is the original subclass that I had built many years ago that I swore I would never put down. So every time I go back to Hunter and Arc, it's Gathering Storm for me all day long, but you guys can pick whatever you want technically. Let me know in the comments what you like best for this style of play. For abilities, I recommend Marksman Dodge, Triple Jump, Disorienting Blow, so that way it blinds and amplifies you and grants you a moderate amount of bolt charge. And then the Flashbang Grenade. The reason I like the Flashbang Grenade is because it's got the lowest cooldown of all these other grenades. It's true that your, the Pulse Grenade? No, the Storm Grenade, I believe, has the best damage output technically. But remember, your Flashbang Grenade can stun unstoppable champions. So just like with Gathering Storm, where you can stun overloads, you can also stun Unstoppables with your Flashbang Grenade, and we haven't gotten to literally anything else in the build. For aspects, first up is going to be Tempest Strike. While sliding, activate your charge melee ability to unleash a devastating uppercut attack that travels along the ground in front of you, damaging and jolting targets it hits. Defeating jolted targets grants a stack of bolt charge. One of the many ways we're going to be able to generate bolt charge is with Tempest Strike. True, it's not quite the same thing as Lightning Surge for Warlock, but this is pretty darn close, and quite honestly, it's very easy to combo this with Ascension. Long press while airborne, consume your class ability energy to summon your Arc Staff, propelling yourself upwards and creating a burst of energy around you that amplifies allies and jolts targets. Both of these are going to combine with our exotic armor of choice, and you can do the sliding with the melee and finish it off with Ascension if you really want to. So you can slide into a group of enemies, activate your charged melee, and then while you're in the air, any remaining enemies, you can dump Ascension down on the ground behind you and vaporize them. Well, execute them to death, basically. And that is what's so great about pairing these two aspects together. For Fragments, first up on the list is going to be Spark of Discharge. Arc Weapon Foul Blows have a chance to create an Ionic Trace. Collecting an Ionic Trace grants you a stack of Bolt Charge. The reason I have this on here is for the bolt charges. You will get bolt charge simply by generating Ionic Traces. Now, when we talk about weapons, we can talk about other things, for weapon options, but the bolt charge is key here because as you're running through just wailing on enemies, you're going to be discharging max stacks of bolt charge so often it's going to feel like you're not really missing an arc weapon as your primary add clear and damage weapon. Next up is going to be Spark of Ions. Defeating a jolted target or creating a target with bolt charge, or defeating a target with bolt charge creates an Ionic Trace. Again, you're just recycling Ionic Traces, bolt charge, discharge, bolt charge, etc., etc., etc. All of these things pretty much just work together in tandem for the entirety of whatever gameplay loop that you want to put into this style of play. Next up is going to be Spark of Amplitude. Rapidly defeating targets while you're amplified creates an orb of power. Getting your orbs of power, getting your Ionic Traces, all good things, all ability refreshes at all times. Next up is going to be Spark of Brilliance. Defeating a blinded target with precision damage creates a blinding explosion. This one is personal preference. I get a +10 to super, which I am technically taking advantage of, and I am using the flashbang grenade. So when I throw that into a crowd of enemies, all of them basically become blinded. And then when you defeat them, it just generates additional blinding explosions. So any remaining enemies that might be swarming on my location and at the heavier difficulties, that's definitely going to be a thing for people, you know, experiencing, especially in Grandmaster and the Lawless Frontier. That's definitely a thing. So this kind of, it's like a twofer. You get the blinding, then you get more blinding, and then you get time to just waste them all. Last but not least, Spark of Resistance. While surrounded by combatants, you are more resistant to incoming damage. +10 to melee, I will take that. You can we can talk about the stats here in a second, but I want to have damage resistance because, again, there's not really a way to regenerate your health with Arc, throughout the Destiny universe. So having damage resistance, you need something to spec into that at the bare minimum. Remember, Amplified makes you harder to hit by itself, and it also makes you have damage resistance on top of it. So this is kind of like, the third way that you can resist damage. For stat distribution, I recommend speccing into weapons, super, grenade, and whatever's left over, your class stat, in that order. The reason I don't have a lot of these well above 100 is, number one, it didn't really kind of work out for me like that. I also did want to spec into a little bit of health with this build, which does seem to kind of pay off in the harder activities. But you want all of these to be at 100 or as close to it as possible. When you look at something like your class ability, and you get it down to 16 seconds with just a 76. And again, the difference between 76 and 70 is, I'm not even sure if it's a second. It might be a second. It might be 2 seconds. I mean, does it really matter if it's 18 or 16 seconds? I really don't think it does. But when you get that up to a 100, it's sub 15 seconds, no matter how you slice it. Well, that means you can activate your Ascension virtually 4 times a minute if you wanted to. That is ridiculously important because you're going to be spreading Jolt on everything around you as you're just wailing on all these enemies. Couple that with being able to throw your flashbang grenade I know it says 42 seconds, but it's going to really be like every 20 seconds with the amount of Ionic Traces and Orbs of Power going to be generating. And that means one thing and one thing only. For someone like me who loves Gathering Storm, your super is going to regen in about 1 minute in the busier activities. Certainly it's going to take longer in slower activities, but you're not going to ever be hurting for weapon damage with this build because you're going to be constantly jolting and blinding. So you're going to get that extra tick damage anyways, which means you're going to be able to land more final blows, less impeded by the surrounding craziness that might be going on around you. For weapons, first up is going to be the Praxic Blade. For this build, you're going to want to spec into Impact Core. I really like the Crystal Strength for the additional charge rate, but you can pick whatever you want. And then Balance Form, so that rapid final blows grant ammo for the weapon and increases damage against rank and file combatants. For the trait, you want to spec into Hyperblade, so that way reflecting shots causes you to become amplified and grants this sword increased lunge distance. That's going to be really important for this build. Now, with the Balance Form, you're going to be able to trigger health regeneration with rapid final blows. So it's important that you spam the crap out of this thing everywhere that you go. This is your first in, last out weapon that you use. Now, when you get to those bosses, of course, I'm going to recommend using your heavy ammo weapon because it's probably a little bit faster. And of course, you haven't been using your heavy weapon for basically anything else since this is a special ammo weapon, which means it hits very, very hard. So being able to trigger your health on top of this is going to be really useful because, again, with Amplified, you're not really technically getting health back. You're mainly just getting the damage resistance and the difficulty for enemies to hit you. For the energy slot, I recommend speccing into something like Forgiveness. Something with Vol Shot, maybe Kill Clip. You can pretty much put whatever you want here because one of our fragments does boost our arc weapons. And then for your heavy slot, it's really dealer's choice what you want to do. I really like Submersion with Chill Clip because it's kind of a way to slow down enemies if I need to in a pinch. But you can run with the Heliatus, you can run with Unwavering Duty with Bait and Switch. I mean, you can run with virtually whatever weapon that you want. You could even put an arc weapon in here, you know, if you want as well. You can also use Refurbished A499. Either one of them is going to work. You guys can let me know in the comments what you really prefer to run with a build like this, but either of these options definitely works. I know Forgiveness isn't the flashiest, you know, weapon out there for dealing with, you know, general ad clear, but that's pretty much what you're using it for. Generating, you know, a little bit of ammo progress, getting some additional jolt in, and then it stacks with the kill clips, so it's not, you know, it's not like it's hurting you to use this weapon intermittently with your Praxic blade. Okay, so Gifted Conviction improves Ascension and Tempest Strike. The Gift of Certainty, activating Ascension or Tempest Strike, throws bouncing explosives at nearby targets that jolt and damage them. Jolting nearby targets grants you damage resistance. Now, I'm not going to spoil it for anyone, but there is an additional piece of exotic armor that I think would work perfectly with a build style like this. However, the Gift of Certainty with Gifted Conviction is definitely, I mean, overpowered right now. In very ad-dense situations, you are going to be very thankful that you're constantly giving yourself extra damage resistance and jolting nearby targets, thereby another way to inflict jolt upon targets and also keep your survivability up high. Gifted Conviction was super popular last season. It doesn't really seem like it's slowing down. So in my opinion, it edges out this other exotic armor that I'm thinking of by just a little bit. And if you guys truly want to know what the other one is that I think would go good with this build, you can get at me in the comments. I'll let you know. Or if you request, I'll make a whole build video out of it, because essentially you get benefits from both exotic armors that will pair with your, you know, your Arc Hunter. As far as the rest of the armor goes, go ahead and spec into whatever general armor mod that you need. For the for the helmet, go ahead and put a special ammo finder mod on. Put on whatever kind of mod that you want for bonus super energy regen. I like the hands-on mod because I do throw my fists around a lot with this build. But you can also put on the kinetic siphon mod, virtually whatever you want to do. But the kinetic siphon mod for sure, and the special ammo finder mod. For the gauntlets, put on 1 firepower, 1 heavy-handed, and 1 fastball. For the chest armor, 1 of every elemental resistance is preferable, especially in higher end content. You can also put a kinetic ammo generation mod on, but I'm telling you, I don't really have problems generating ammo for this, you know, this Praxic blade. But, you know, depending on what you're running, you might, or depending on what modifiers are active for the given situation. For the legs, go ahead and put on Better Already for additional health, Absolution, and Absolution. It's not necessary that you put anything on here to get really any single ability back, because your class ability, which is what you're going to be using, again, 4 times a minute, if you want, is going to be regenerating at under 15 seconds a pop. So you're really going to be hurting for it? I don't think so. For the class ability, or the class item, excuse me, put on Reaper, again, because you're spamming your class ability. 1 orb pickup with the class font activation is going to give you a plus 20 to your class stat. So if you're at 76 like I am, 1 orb of power boosts you to 96. More than 1 orb of power gets you what? That's right, an overshield. So you have a way to generate an overshield by just doing the bare minimum and picking up your orbs of power during this gameplay. As far as the final, I put on Outreach because, again, I like punching with this combination of like a heavy melee style focused Arc Hunter build. For the artifact, go ahead and spec into whatever, you know, armor mods that you need. Remember, your Praxic blade is inherently armor barrier piercing, so you can put on whatever complements that setup. In the second column, go ahead and put on Expert Handling and Elemental Siphon. A tertiary option would be Impact, Shock, and Gravity, but because I'm spamming my Praxic blade so much with this build, it's not totally necessary, although you guys can let me know in the comments that might be an option for what you're setting up for. In the third column, go ahead and put on Kinetic Synthesis and Riposte. Go ahead and put on Combination Argent Blade, Armor Smith, and Dielectric in the fourth column. And then in the fifth column, there's really only one option, Kinetic Rupture and Sword Storm combo. All of these are going to basically overlap in terms of damage, ability regen, elemental pickups. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Or damage resistance, damage increase, you know, health regen, all those things. All these things blend together in a way that Arc Hunter hasn't had a lot of this kind of support in a long time. And of course, with featured weapons now and stats mattering over 100, you can customize this to really do some serious damage at higher level content. So let me know what you guys think of the build. Let me know how you guys are customizing it. Let me know what 2 weapons you're pairing with this build. I'm sure there's going to be some great options out there. And then you can let me know how you have your stats too, because I'm always curious on how things function. I don't have endless resources to farm and farm and farm, which is why I don't have any of the stuff masterwork, because the build style is there by itself. Once you masterwork your armors, all of these things suddenly go up maybe another half a volume click. So it's going to just be that much more potent. If you guys did find anything helpful in this video, please consider liking and subscribing. If you know a guardian out there who could benefit from an Arc Strider build like this Hunter build, feel free to share this video with them or send them my way. My goal is to help as many people as possible. As always, I will have a dim link in the video description. And if by chance you are looking for a non-toxic gaming community, shout out to my Discord. It is open, no drama, no toxicity. It's just Guardians helping Guardians, and they are super active with all of the new activities that people are running. Conquest, Equilibrium Dungeon, it doesn't really matter. The community is out there, it's open, and they are super welcoming. So shout out to those guys for making it, the community that it is today. So I'm going to switch over to some more gameplay right now. I'm going to go through kind of a loose loop of how to use this build, and then we're going to wrap it up. The way to play this build is using your light attack mainly on everything except for really tanky enemies. The combination is light, 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 and heavy to do the over-the-top slam down on bigger enemies. You'll notice in this gameplay right here, you can discharge your max stacks of bolt charge, which add up every single hit by simply just hitting enemies any way that you can. So it doesn't matter if it's a heavy attack, doesn't matter if it's a light attack, it's all the same. And then as your super comes back, because you will be generating it relatively quickly, you can just use it as you need or want. You can go entire activities without proccing and using it once if you want, or you can just absolutely go crazy. So you saw right there, I did the slide and then I did the ascension right after the slide. You can do it like that, and as you do it, you're going to amplify yourself, which is going to mean you zip around the battlefield at ultra fast speed. And from there, it just becomes about doing general attacks, cycling through your abilities as they come back, and never really banking on any of them to even be there. You're kind of just using them in between when you're almost bored of just attacking with your Praxic blade. That's a bad way to describe it, but you guys know what I mean. Anyway, so if you guys have any questions about that, you can always get at me in the comments. Let me know what you guys think of the video. Let me know what kinds of weapons you're pairing with your Praxic blade and how it's working for you in harder content. I will see you guys next time. Thanks as always for the support. Take care. One hilarious caveat from the run that I did with this build is nobody bothered to come my way when I was securing this location.